Hi, my name's Terry Hyde. I'm a co-presenter for TheDanceable.
Hi, my name is Shahrzad Hamza, and I am also a co-host for The Danceable.
I have a background in dance, although I'm a psychotherapist now. I started ballet when I was 6 years old and worked through the vocational schools of the RAD, the Royal Academy of Dance, and the Royal Ballet School. I went into the Royal Ballet as in the Court of Ballet, spent a few years there, and then went to London's Festival Ballet, which is now called English National Ballet. I joined there as a soloist. I did principal roles as well. But I wanted to expand what I wanted to do and left the ballet world to do musical theatre. The first show that I did was West Side Story, and then went into West End musicals, that's London's West End, film and TV, after which I retired and set up a business management organization to look after people in show business. I built that up and ran that for 15 years, gave myself a couple of years off, got bored, and then trained as a psychotherapist, which is what I am now. And in 2017, I set up counseling for dancers because I realized that dancers need therapists who were dancers to truly understand them. And I do workshops in vocational ballet schools, dance schools, musical theatre schools, and in dancer companies around the world. And now over to Shahrzad.
So I was born and raised in Iran, where dancing is illegal, but I really wanted to dance, so I started learning dance underground. It was very difficult. If you want details, please contact me. Um, Long story short, I applied for graduate school in the United States. I came over to the United States and I got my second master's in theater studies from Illinois State University. Then I moved to Dallas for a PhD program in performing and visual art studies with a focus in dance. Right now, I'm working on my dissertation, trying to document Persian dance and how we can use it as a form of resistance. I'm also very big on using dance as a tool to heal from trauma. And right now, I am teaching at a wellness center, trying to help people use movement to express their emotions.
Good.
Yeah,
Now we have a
yeah,
number of discussions that we're going to go through,
yeah.
and so Shahrzad, let's start then. Why self-expression is essential for people with intellectual disabilities. So why do you
So
think?
I think self-expression is not a luxury. Not a lot of people can do that, and it's a human need. Um, for individuals with intellectual disabilities, creative expression provides a voice beyond words. It allows them to communicate their identity, their feelings, and their ideas that honor their unique voice and strength. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for someone who has grown up,
Yeah.
this is not me, but for an individual who has grown up with an intellectual disability, so neurodiversity, as well as physical disabilities, they're not really listened to. So when you think about therapy clients that come and see me, they are invariably not listened to. So
Mm,
anything that goes on within them will stay within them, and that exacerbates any mental health issues. And it also exacerbates physical ailments as well.
mm,
So
mm.
having the freedom to just vocally talk about it and not be
Mm.
judged. And that's the issue
Yeah,
about being judged, who you are and what is wrong with you. But there's nothing wrong with you.
yeah,
You're different. It's not wrong, you're different. And I
yeah.
think to be able to express that in dance is
Mm,
a freedom for them. To
mhm.
have that freedom to be able to hear the music, move, or just interpret it in their own way.
Yeah,
And that doesn't need to be verbalized. The body can tell the story.
yeah, I love that. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just different. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I can see
Remember
you
that.
quickly writing
Yeah.
notes.
I
You're
am
going to come
taking
out
no,
with something.
I'm gonna use that later somewhere.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you're only writing the notes of what I said. You're not going to write so they say, I've got this something else that's coming up. Did anything resonate with you at all with
Um,
your students?
yeah. I think because a lot of times I have two left feet. Oh, I'm just not made for this. This is so hard. I'm so tense, like things like that. And I think it actually applies there too. It's not about you. It's about the feeling. It's about that movement. It's not about talent. It's about being comfortable in your body enough that you can use your limbs, right? If I'm angry, I want to do this instead of yelling at someone, and that actually
Mm,
can have a stronger effect than trying to raise your voice, because once you raise your voice, it's over. Nobody's listening to what you're saying, right? But if you're dancing and you're showing that you're angry, people want to watch you. They're like, that person's
mm,
got something to say. I'm going to film this. I'm going to post this on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to tell each other about it in a good way rather than, oh, she just yelled. I'm gonna tell people not to talk to her, or I'm gonna, like something like we're gonna cancel her. The cancel culture comes into view. So I think movement like makes you different, right? You are different, but again, when you bring that difference into movement, then people are like, oh, this is a good difference. This is something I want to look at. Let's see what this person has to say.
yeah,
Discussions like that.
as
Yeah,
right
yeah,
as I mentioned, everyone is different, so they will declare things in a different way, and
yeah,
I think dance gives that opportunity. And it doesn't have to be even called dance; it can just be called movement.
yeah. It can be
Movement
performance
to
art. Yeah,
music,
yeah,
movement to sound, movement to percussive instruments. It's
yeah,
anything, even in silence. So a lot of dance now, the contemporary dance world, uses voice as well. And so even if, like your example of anger,
yeah,
can come out and but be using it with a physical thing as well.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's just incorporating everything together.
yeah.
Shahrzad, I'm interested to know in your classes, if someone says, I've got two left feet, I can't do it, do you ever say, how would you like to do it?
Yes. I'm like, I always, I mean, not in those exact words, but in the same family, I'm like, what is your body telling you? Where in your body are you feeling that? What is making you say you have two left feet? Has anybody told you that you have two left feet? And then it makes them think. And a lot of the times when I ask them, where in your body are you feeling that? They have a place they can show me, or multiple places. And then I'm like, if you were to set that feeling free, how would you move? Like, how would you like release the tension in your shoulders, like in a normal day, right? We all have that because we're sitting in behind a computer, or like we're feeling something here or there. I'm like, if you were to release that tension, how would you move your body? And then a lot of the times that gets them moving, because they think, most of them think they have to do an exact movement exactly the way that I'm doing it. And I'm like, no, these are just suggestions. You don't have to look like me. Especially like a lot of, like, because my specialty is Persian dance, right? And a lot of times with Persian dance, I'm like, when you look at Persian dance, it's like the game of the telephone, because at some point somebody started teaching it, but nobody wrote it down. So when it got to me, it looks a lot different from the first person who started doing it, right? So when I'm
Mm,
telling it to you, let's just keep the game going. You don't have to make it look like me. There are certain sensual feelings that you want to bring into the performance, like the facial expressions or what the song is saying, or if you want to like move your fingers, or like the steps. But these are just suggestions, as long as someone is like moving to the music and bringing that feeling. It doesn't have to look like what I'm doing, as long as it's helping you express what you're feeling in that moment.
In that way, Shahrzad, I'm curious to know, with people with stronger neurodiverse
Mm.
traits, because I mean everyone in the world is on the neurodiverse spectrum to
Um,
a certain degree, but those with stronger neurodiverse traits, do they have any difficulties with picking up? So they've got different learning abilities. You
yes.
know, the three learning: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. They will have more of one than of the
Mm.
other. So what's your experience with that?
It takes a lot longer for them to start moving, and I don't ever push. I'm like, take your time whenever you can, even if this is just one finger. If you can bring your one finger up, and I understand that you're frustrated, but that's the feel. Show me how frustrated you feel with your head, or with blinking, or just touching different places on your face, or just tell me where it is that you're having difficulty to move.
Mm.
Um, so frustration is a common feeling and emotion that comes up. But I try to tell them that's it. I need you to get somewhere where you can show me that frustration rather than getting frustrated and starting like hitting the walls and just yelling and telling me that this isn't working. I want you to get there. How has your experience been? Because I know you probably have more experience um, with intellectual disabilities than I do. I mostly have most of the people that come to me have physical disabilities, or they have had trauma, like being raped or otherwise abused.
Oh, I have that as well. Yeah.
Um,
And also, especially with classical Indian dance, ballroom and Latin and ballet, abusive training.
mm,
So they're not good enough. And that is what they're being told all the time.
yeah.
So you do get, they don't have a voice.
Mhm,
So those forms of training that I just mentioned, and probably gymnastics as well,
yeah.
are told right from the beginning, you do as I say. So there's no questioning at all. And so they are the god or the goddess that they have to obey. And it creates a lack of verbal interaction.
Mhm,
You should just do as you're told. And that, in my mind, it hasn't been proven in research, exacerbates the neurodiverse traits that are already in place. And so I have found, anecdotally in my therapy
mhm,
sessions, that those who have done that type of training that I've just
mm,
mentioned are more than likely either have reached the criteria for a diagnosis of ADHD and autism, or very much underlying. And I use myself as an example. I've done self-assessments on myself. I know you shouldn't do that, but I'm just below the diagnosable criteria. But I realize that those traits are my power and my magic. As long as I don't carry them too far, they're okay. They've
mm,
driven me, focus, the drive, etc. I do digress a lot in conversations or even in
yeah.
podcast interviews, and conversations like this, which is one of the ADHD traits. But I think by calling it different and not bad, that is it. And so developing those that attitude has helped a lot of my therapy clients to understand. Also, the workshops that I do, you can see straight away who is on higher on the spectrum than normal in either their physical behavior, the way they portray themselves. And when you look at, again, I like what you said about, where's the proof? So people come
Mm,
to me and say, everybody hates me. I'm useless. And I say, okay, let's just rationalize this. Let's go through and see where the proof is that that's where your understanding comes from. And invariably, there is no proof. And so you're just changing a mindset, you're changing habit. All of
Yeah.
these are, and because of neuroplasticity, these habits can be changed. And
Mm-hmm.
neuroplasticity said you just change the habit, but do it incrementally. Don't change a huge load of habits because you just set yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
You would just fail at that. So change small habits at a time, do it for a month. The new neural pathways and synapses will be set up, and then you go on to another habit. But if you just change your mindset as well about your own ability,
Mm-hmm.
and for those the students that you teach, it sounds as though they've got a wonderful teacher because you're nurturing and supporting them with their own abilities and own inabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds great.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. Hopefully one day we can participate each other's classes because I love
Yes.
how you talk about this stuff and I really want to see it in practice and
Okay. Well, you'll have to
yeah.
invite me, or the university has to invite me over. Let's have a look at these list of questions and see what we've
Yes.
gone through. Common challenges. We've talked about common challenges, seen and
Yeah.
heard. How art unlocks expression. And I think with movement, whether it's with music or sound or
Yeah.
whatever, it unlocks their own expressions that have been
Mm,
locked up because they thought they were not good enough, or I
mm,
can't do this because I got two left feet. And you've proved that they don't have two left feet.
mm. Yeah.
They're just wearing their shoes the wrong way around.
Yeah. So I think art bypasses the limitations of language, right? We talked about this in Expanse, like where yeah, let's not yell or let's not look try looking for words like I was like I don't have words for this, or like when it's not your first something is not your first language, right? A lot of times I'm talking in English, I'm like I cannot remember a certain word, and even in that moment I'm like I can't even remember it in Persian or in Urdu, like the other languages that I speak. So I think movement bypasses all of that, or logic, right? Allowing your emotions and stories come to the surface. So like I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna get drowned in this rhythm and music and share a part of myself that otherwise would have remained unhidden. Oh, sorry, would have remained hidden. Yeah. Yeah.
And interestingly, if you look at all national dances,
Oh,
maybe there's some of them, but the majority of national dances all around the world, people are smiling.
yeah.
And a smile is an international word or action, isn't it? And so
Yeah.
the national dances bring joy to people. It doesn't matter what language it is, in what country it is, it brings
Mm-hmm.
joy to people doing it and
Mm-hmm.
watching it. And I
Yeah.
think dance movement of any sort is joyful. And
Yeah.
you know, a lot of vocational students that I deal with have lost the joy. Professional dancers have lost the joy. I mean, I started when I was 6 years old, and people started younger than that. Why did they start? They found joy in it,
Yeah.
and then they lose it because of that concentration and the funneling down and the focusing on what's right, and they need to be right. And then you go into perfectionism, and that
Mm.
kills joy.
Well, I
It's
love that.
terrible. Anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. I digress. So
I'm gonna
let's
write that
go on.
down. Perfectionism kills joys.
Perfectionism kills joy. Yeah, it kills the joy of dance and movement. And I
Yeah.
suppose anything really, because
Yeah, true.
if you're not perfect, what are you? You're no good. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
People with that mentality just gonna have a miserable life. And instead of
Yeah.
accepting that they're
Mm,
human and they will make mistakes. And what do mistakes do? In we're talking about in learning now. What are mistakes for? They're improving. Ah, I've made a
mm.
mistake. Okay, so what can I do to improve that? Mistakes are a learning event. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get the
Yeah.
quote for you. Please use the citation, Terry Hyde.
Okay.
Okay, so another one is any cultural or practical nuances worth mentioning? I think we talked widely about that.
Yeah, we talked widely, not
A
widely,
reflection on
widely.
the mutual growth, which is between, for instance, an art teacher and a mentally disabled student. So you can, I've taught ballet, but not in the extent that you teach as well. So um, what are the nuances between a teacher and a student, a
So working
mentally
with
disabled?
our artists who have intellectual disabilities, I'm going to call them artists because I think anybody who uses art, like we all use art, right? We all use art in everyday life. So everybody's an artist, in my opinion. So working with artists who have intellectual disabilities transform the teacher as much as it transforms the student, right? We learn patience because as a teacher, I believe I should not be yelling at the students. So I have to change the way I'm explaining something over and over again because the same explanation does not work for everyone, right? We learn adaptability because again, people have different temperaments. Like I had students who start yelling at me or leave the classroom or bring somebody else into the conversation. So I have like I can't talk for everybody else, but like personally, I have had to learn to stay patient in different situations because once I cross that line where I, as the teacher who's trying to teach them to use movement to express emotion, once I cross that line, I start yelling or do something like that, there's no coming back. So I have to like adapt to different situations and the power of seeing the world through a different lens, right? Because they talk about themselves to me, trying to tell me, okay, I'm feeling this, and I don't think I can show it the movement. So I have to put myself in their shoes and be like, okay, if I were you, I would do it this way, which I try not to do too many often because again, I don't want them to copy what I'm doing. I want them to use their own movement. Like this is like a last resort for me. Like if they're like, it's like I can't, I might give them an example of like myself doing that emotion, which sometimes helps them. And sometimes I tell them to look at other people, like watch people in everyday life. Like for example, I'm like, okay, let's open the door. Like in one of the movements, like let's open the doors because I want to teach them how to use their fingers to in a dance mode. Like let's open the door, right? And I'm like, okay, so I gave you an example of hand movement. Now let's look at people in everyday life and see how they walk around and do things around life and houses and the school or wherever, and see if we can bring that movement into the performance or the choreography or the dance that we're doing, right? So that's one of the homeworks that I give them. Um, the exchange of creativity goes both ways, right? So a lot of the times I learn things from them because so when I'm teaching belly dancing or Persian dancing or whatever, I always tell them, imagine you're holding saucers with these two fingers. So that's how your hand's supposed to be like, right? I'm like doing that.
Show me again. Holding
Holding two saucers, like I'm holding
so
saucers.
your middle finger and your thumb.
Yeah. And then one of my students was like Barbie hands. And I had never thought of that, right? So like she gave me another way to say that because so in Persian culture, saucers are like a constant use because when you bring tea, you put it in a saucer, like you put the cup in the saucer and you're using that. But it's not as common in American culture, right? There's like you don't really see saucers unless you're going to like a tea party and they're trying to mimic the British. So
I was about to say we still have cups and saucers.
so when I say saucers, a lot of people might not get my meaning, or we're like, how do you hold that there? Like I don't get it. And when she was like Barbie hands, I was like, oh my goodness, that's like another way to look at it. So the creativity and the learning goes both ways. Like I learn a lot, and that was just one example, right? So it also like pushes me as the teacher, as an artist, as an artivist, the way that I would like to think about myself. It pushes me into innovative ways and makes me grow. As a person, as a teacher, as an artist, is like as just a unit existing in the world. So, what about you?
Exactly. Well, it's exactly the same as being a therapist. I learn something new with every session,
Yeah.
something different, a nuance or something like that. And what I wanted to mention to you was that when you're dealing with people with mental health
Mm.
issues,
Yeah.
or I don't consider neurodiversity a mental health issue. When
Yeah.
it gets pushed too far, it
Yeah.
is. Um, but what you got to consider is I was trained as a Jungian psychodynamic psychotherapist, so I work with the unconscious of the therapy client,
Mm.
and the unconscious records everything right back from in utero. What was going on for that person's mother
Mm.
at that time? Was it having difficulty? Was it a wonderful pregnancy? Was it an abusive relationship that they were in? Were they stressed because of money
Yeah.
matters and things like that? And it exacerbates the traits. So it's in the DNA or in the genes, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be like that. You're susceptible to it. And so
Yeah.
when you were talking about an angry student or something like, what's caused it? What's triggered them? So you're triggered by something that's happened in the past, a trauma
Yeah.
or traumatic event that's happened in the past, or to do when you were in utero.
Mm.
So Gabor Mate, that's spelled M-A-T-E, Gabor Mate
Mm.
has written a book about ADHD, and in it he says that someone who has either been diagnosed with ADHD or has very strong ADHD traits that comes to see him, he could tell straight away. That's why I gave this example, that his parents, when his mother was pregnant with him, were having a very stressful situation.
Mhm.
And he said, "My God, how did you know that?" This was an interview that I saw with Gabor Mate. And so it is true that you can pick things up like that.
Yeah.
And so it's not you, it's your environment that you've picked up throughout your life.
Mm.
And when you think of abused children or children in an abusive environment, will invariably go into an abusive intimate relationship
Mm.
because they
Yeah.
want them to change. They think they've got the ability to change that person. And invariably it doesn't happen. They just go from one abusive relation to another until the light bulb moment goes, oh, I can't change them. And then they'll find something different. And then they change in that themselves.
Mm.
Change yourself first. Change your
Yeah.
thoughts about yourself
Yeah.
first. Love
Yeah.
yourself. And that's not being in a narcissistic way.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
an
I mean,
I know I'm digressing here, but there's an
yeah.
exercise called havening, and it's loving yourself. You do this because this stroking action is like a mother does that to their baby. So you're
Yeah.
doing that to yourself, and you say your name. So I'll say, Terry, I love you. Terry, I love you. And
Mm.
you do that by looking in the mirror and do it for a minute every day. A minute's a
Mhm.
long time when you're doing this, but you stare into your eyes and you say that.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I get when there's sort of very low self-esteem clients, I get them to do that. Some of them won't do it in front of me. Others will do it and not look in the camera or not look at me on the
Yeah.
screen because all my therapy sessions are online. And some of them will start it and then just burst into tears because it's all right. I'm getting emotional now. And they burst into tears because they have not recognized that they need
Mm.
to love themselves.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think with a lot of ADHD, autism, others with mental health, don't love themselves in that way because they feel that they're not lovable. So by giving attention and supporting them and speaking kindly to them, they're perhaps not used to it.
Yeah.
Have you found that?
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yes.
perhaps they reject it. How dare you speak to me like that? Well, Shahrzad, I think we've come to the end of
Yes.
our
Yes.
conversation. And
Yes.
those watching, there's going to be a notice afterwards about the danceable and how you can all join in should you wish to. So,
Yes.
Shahrzad, have you
Yeah.
got any final words?
Yeah, yeah, of course. If you're an artist, therapist, educator, working with this community, know that your work matters deeply, deeply, deeply. Even the smallest breakthroughs, a smile, a gesture, a moment of focus is a victory. You are helping build a more compassionate and expressive world. So be proud of yourself and your work because you're making a difference. Thank you so much for listening in to our conversation. We hope that you learned something. And if you want to add something to this conversation, please, please feel free to reach out. We are always here. Um, we will get back to you sooner or later. So just try to dance through life, I guess.
From me, Terry Hyde, goodbye.
Bye.